Hare Krishna, dear devotees. You're all welcome in today's session on Gems from Srimadbhagavatam. Today is a very sweet verse, and this is the conclusion given by Shukdev Goswami himself after having narrated the wonderful story of Ajamil and the conversation between Yamraj and his messengers, the Yamdutas. Hare Krishna, please join us for the invocation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiryet Shavatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shamana Kirtanaha Hridayantastho Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suhatsatam नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतेरुत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we are covering verse number 31 from the third chapter of sixth canto. And this is a conclusion given by Shukdev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. And he is actually, as a spiritual master, the instructing spiritual master, directly calling out, to Maharaj Parikshit to carry it out as an important instruction. Now, sometimes people will be bewildered because this is, third or fourth day of the 7 days in which Maharaj Parikshit will leave his body. Why is he being called out to perform this activity? Srimadbhagavatam 6.3.31. Tasma Sankirtanam Vishnu Jagan Mangalam Amhasam Mahatam Api Kauravya Vidya Ekantika Nishkritam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shukdev Goswami continued, My dear king, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is able to uproot even the reactions of the greatest sins. Therefore, the chanting of the Sankirtan movement is the most auspicious activity in the entire universe. Please try to understand this so that others will take it seriously. Hare Krishna. Devi, would you like to read the purport?
He was delivered from all sinful reactions. The chanting of the holy name is so auspicious that it can free everyone from the reactions of sinful activities. One should not conclude that one may continue to sin with the intention of chanting Hare Krishna to neutralize the reactions. Rather, one should be very careful to be free from all sins and never think of counteracting sinful activities by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, for this is another offense. If by chance a devotee accidentally performs some sinful activity, the Lord will excuse him, but one should not intentionally perform sinful acts. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Devi. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join us for Prabhupada Pranati and seeking blessings from the Acharyas. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tadaham vande Shri Gurum dina tarinam. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So let me once again share the verse because this verse has some important lessons that we can learn from. Now, why is Shukdev Goswami? He is asking Parikshit Maharaj, who is supposed to be dying within 7 days, to take this seriously. So again, he in the very beginning is talking about chanting of the holy name is able to uproot even the reactions of the greatest sins. Now, this particular aspect sometimes is being, there are people who are logicians. They use this to perform sins. And then they say, oh, wow, Shukdev Goswami said it's in the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is literally incarnation of Lord Krishna, so everything is all about devotional service, and I can perform all kind of nonsense and then chant. Well, that is a namaprad. That's an offense to the chanting of the holy name, and that will actually fire back very badly. So we should not use as an insurance plan or as a substitute to perform sinful activities. The chanting of the holy name has to be performed with the right mindset. And that mindset is Tanadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadina Kirtanya Sadhari. Be more humble than the grass on the street, more tolerant than the tree, and ready to give respects to everyone without expecting any respect in return. So there is no expectation. So this is very important aspect. And in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna himself says, Neha bikam nashasti pratvayo na vidyate swalpamapasya dharmasya trayate mahto bhayat. That a little devotional service that's performed can save us from the greatest danger. So what is the danger here? What is that, which causes us to perform sins? That is our tendency. Sometimes there is a tendency of people saying, oh, Maya is bad. Actually, Maya is not bad. She is the referee. We are trying to blame all our shortcomings onto the referee. That is not right. Sometimes when you play games, you have seen maybe people playing soccer, basketball, various games. And in the sports, the person is like losing because on the other side, the opponent is constantly defeating them. And they are feeling that, oh, it's the referee that should actually call out all activities that they are doing as fouls, and we should get all the chance to score. That is not Maya's duty. She is a neutral agent in this case. And then we start thinking, who is the opposing party? The opposing party is also us. Our material desires, that's what holding us back. That's what is defeating us time and again in this material world, because we are seeking sensual enjoyment. So this gets uprooted. And today we will be looking at this verse from the acronym CHANT, CHANT, right? So even the greatest sins can be uprooted. What is that sin? That those material desires, we need to purify our desires. My Guru Maharaj used to say, oh, if we knew what all forms this water has gone through, you would not like to take a single gulp of water. Sometimes we have filtered water, but can you imagine what this water has been going through for so many hundreds of thousands of years, through so many, good state and bad state and worse states. And if you realize what it has gone through, so similarly, our soul has also gone through so many connections, so many contaminations, yet at the same time, it needs to be filtered, and that filtering process is the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And we have to filter out all these material desires that's causing this contamination and making us feel that we are losing the battle. But in reality, this is all in the mind. So we have to look at it from the perspective that this is a great boon that has been given to us, and it should not be used as an insurance plan. Yes, I will elaborate more on the insurance plan later on. So this chanting of the Sankirtan movement, it is the most auspicious activity in the entire universe. And Lord Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Yajnanam Chapo Asmi, that the chanting of the holy name is the greatest sacrifice. So when he's identifying what is the best in different categories, he says, of all the sacrifices, the topmost sacrifice is chanting of the holy name. And we also understand this Kali age, the easiest process, which is also the best process, has been provided to us. Hare Ram, Hare Nam eva kevalam, kalo nashti eva gatiranyatha. So in this Kali age, the only way to get rid of these material desires, this Kali age is, what does it represent? Prayana alpayusha sabhya kalavasmin yuge jana manda sumanda matyo manda bhagyo pradutta. This Kali age, the symptoms of Kali age, prayana alpayu, men have short lives, human beings have short lives. Kalavasmin yuge jana, and they're quarrelsome by nature. Manda, they're lazy. Sumanda matyo, less intelligent. Mandabhagya, unlucky, and Upraduta, constantly disturbed. And why is all this happening? Because they are having this material consciousness to enjoy this material world. The whole world is running after sense gratification. When we go to the doctor, sometimes people have headaches. They say, you know what? I just want you to give me the medicine that I can manage all this stress. If the doctor says, why don't you remove the stress? Then they say, no, I must take all this stress because I have to take care of so many things. Well, it's all in the mind. We can do everything, sustain ourselves in a very stable manner if we don't engage in such over endeavors. And so we'll be discovering this, the chanting of the Sankirtan movement. And see, here is congregational chanting. And now, when we talk about congregational chanting, we also hear Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction in Madhya Lila. Satsanga Krishna Seva Bhagavata Nama Vraje Vasa Ei Pancha Sadhana Pradhan. Now, this is very important because in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, while Rupa Goswami also refers to this particular verse, where he's identifying that the 5 processes of devotional service are so potent of the 64 processes. These are not the 9 processes, these are the 64 that Srila Rupa Goswami lists in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and he receives these instructions through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who gives it first to Sanatana, and then he imparts it to his younger brother Rupa Goswami. So satsanga, and again, association with devotees. And what do association of devotees result in? Congregational chanting. So the focus is not gossiping. There was a person we were interacting with. He said, you know what? I hear this holy name. It comes out in one ear and goes out the other. So it was quite a bit surprising. And then instead of giving any conclusion answer, we said, and why do you think that is happening? He meditated and he said, oh, maybe I'm keeping my ear open for all kind of gossip. And immediately covered his ears, said, Ram, Ram, Ram. I have to preserve these ears to only hear Harinam. That was his realization instantly. So this is the sweetness of Lord Krishna. For a sincere heart, he reveals the truth so easily. And sometimes, yes, we have seen people who are saying, oh, it's going out from one ear, going out through the other, because there is nothing in between. The transformation has to happen. That information that we are receiving has to get into our heart, do that churning, and then, that transformation happens. So information turns into transformation when we do it sincerely with humility. And that is where edge comes in. And so as we are looking at humility aspects, we also have to say that how we are going to atonement is something that's is stopping us. That mindset that I'm using as an insurance policy should not be there. And we have to navigate parampara. And it's for navigate parampara. So we have to follow parampara. Parampara means the instructions, take shelter of the instructions, not anukaran, but anusharan. Not just imitate others, but take shelter of those instructions, understanding that this holy name It can be chanted at any time, at any place. There is no restriction. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself reveals it. And when we talk about Krishna Seva, this is the result of chanting. Why are we chanting? Which is also devotional service, also Krishna Seva, but it also enables other senses, because chanting is mainly, we are taking care of the mind, body, and words. So mind and words are engaged in it. Body becomes engaged in Krishna Seva, in performing devotional service. And then comes Bhagavata. Bhagavata is glorifying Lord Krishna's name, form, activities, pastimes, and those of his devotees. Now, sometimes it says, oh, I only want to hear about 10th canto. I don't want to hear first through ninth. Uh, because in the first canto, there is description of the Pandavas. And then the end of first canto and the second canto is more about Mahavishnu and the three Purusha avatars. And that is not very entertaining because they have their eyes closed. Well, we have to understand again, Karodakshay Vishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, Shirodakshay Vishnu, and they are carrying out as Purusharthas. Those activities are also from the perspective that they are ignoring all the mistakes we have done in the past. Just like water, it has gone through so many different states, so many different contaminations, but finally is seeking purification, is getting through filter. And this is Krishna himself is working on us. So Bhagavata, again, it is Bhagavad Seva. So we read Srimad Bhagavatam in this mood to churn our heart. And then, of course, Nama. So again, chanting of the holy name is paramount. And Varjevas, living in a holy place or holy dham, like Vrindavan, Mathura, and Mayapur, and so forth. Well, when we have Bhagavatam in our home, when we have an altar in our home becomes a dham. Dham is where Lord resides. And wherever Bhagavatam resides, that's also a dham. Wherever deities are serviced, that's also a dham. So the Pancha Sadhan Pradhan, these are the main 5 activities where even a neophyte can experience the love of God. We are all seeking love of God. That is our goal. Now somebody could say, Prabhu, Anand Bhaya Abhyasat. The goal is to become happy. Yes, that is correct. Anand Bhaya Abhyasat. And what did Srila Prabhupada say? He said, chant and be happy. You chant the holy name and you become prasannatma. So again, you become happy. So such a simple formula is given, but the materialistic mind is, oh, I don't like simple ideas. I want complicated logic. And we have to be very careful with that mindset. When we look at life, life is simple. And when we look at Krishna, Krishna is even simpler for a simple-hearted person. And he is very difficult to be approached with a complicated-hearted person. Reminds me of a short story that Srila Prabhupada used to share, that a great logician, a mathematician, he was going to get flour, and he went to the flour shop. What does he see? He sees that there is a bull he is taking round, and in the center there is a fork, and that's where all the wheat is getting churned. And there was no one else, and he was like surprised. And then he rang the bell, and the doorbell that was still on the desk. So the master, the shopkeeper, he came out and he asked, yes, what do you need? It's like, I would like to have some flour. Okay, so how much do you need? And then the logician said, but wait a minute, you were not even here. And how do you know that the bull is not lazy? He said, my dear sir, bull has this bell. So I go inside and I can hear the bell when the bull is moving. And when it's not moving, I don't hear the bell. I come out and I, make it move so that it knows that it has to continue moving. And over a period of time, it has understood. Oh, so the logician said, what if the bull would stand at one place and move its neck, and that would make the bell sound? So the shopkeeper smiled and said, my dear sir, thankfully, he's not a logician bull. He is a simple bull. So again, sometimes we make things much more complex than they are supposed to be. We should understand life is simple. All we need to do is engage in the chanting of the holy name, engage in Krishna Seva, Be in association of devotees to do congregational chanting, not gossiping, like I was addressing earlier. And so we can go through the real transformation in life. And that transformation sets everything apart. Right? We have to transform our heart into loving service, our activities into loving service. So let me go through the acronym again. C is for congregations, chanting, congregation, Sankirtan, let's call it. So chanting together uproots even the greatest sinful reactions. That's what we are hearing in this verse. And why is Shukdev Goswami is asking Maharaj Parikshit to take it seriously? Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yad acharati sheshtas tatta deve taro janaha. So as you know, the leaders of the society, they act, the common men follow. And Maharaj Parikshit is known as emperor of the world. Yes, he has given up the world, but that is his humility, which brings us to H. Humility and hearing, it opens the heart to the name's potency. So again, when we hear something from one ear, it has to go through our heart and then has to churn. Because when there is rain, again, rain can fall on soft ground or hard ground. What will happen if it falls on a rock or a hard ground? It will just wash away. But in a soft ground, it will be received well. And that's what humility represents. We have to churn our heart to the chanting of the holy name so it becomes proper recipient of the mercy of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we have to practice humility. Yes. Practice only makes it permanent. So if we do the wrong practice, it will make those wrong things permanent. Those are the impressions, samskar we carry. But if we practice humility, if we practice the right processes, we have to also understand that we have to be associating with the right kind of people. And hearing in parampara enables that hearing from the realized devotees enables hearing from those who have gone through the path much ahead. It helps us to develop humility. And A is atonement and abstinence. So atonement is, of course, this is the negative aspect, that we are atoning by removing all those other material activities with spiritual activities. And abstinence is stopping those material activities, not the tendency like the insurance plan we were discussing, that yes, we'll do this and we continue to do what we are doing. Srila Prabhupada criticized Christians on this level very strongly. He said all through the week they will perform all kind of nonsense, and on Sunday they will go to the church and ask for forgiveness, hoping that everything has gone to level zero and they can continue to start sinning again. That is not spirituality. That is an insurance plan misunderstood because there is no insurance plan on those aspects. Insurance plan is where someone pays out only when you repent. So again, that is not, it should not be taken like that. And then N is to navigate parampara. We have to follow disciplic transmission to preserve and receive potency. Again, we have to receive it with the right mindset, but at the same time in parampara. So this is where when we hear about the devotees of the Lord in Srimadbhagavatam, we hear the instructions of Yamraj. Now, Yamraj is one everyone is very much afraid of, especially the materialists, because to them the death is, his comes in the form of death. Lord Krishna says, time I am the devourer of all things. He's calling himself as Kal. So, but for devotees, he is the savior. But for non-devotees, he is very scary personality. He appears as if Yamraj, he has his agent. Yamraj assigned to punish all those who have sinned and also to reward those who have done pious activities. Both of those people have to see Yamraj. Wait a minute. People were thinking that you don't have to see Yamraj if you have done all good in your life. Uh-oh, that's the wrong formula. Actually, we have three bank accounts. One is the account of all pious activities. Then the second is the account of all impious activities, sinful activities. And then the third one is the account of devotional service, akarma. Karma, pious activities. Vikarma, sinful activities. Akarma, devotional activities. So if any of these two accounts, karma or vikarma, pious or impious, sinful activities, any of these two accounts have any balance in it, the soul has to see Yamraj, which means the Yamdutas would come and take the soul to Yamraj. Yet Yamraj says that those who are devotees don't even approach them. Now, in this regard, I'm going to go forward, little forward from where this incident was there that Shukdev Goswami narrated. So we all understand, Yamraj himself called out that Lord Shiva is the one of the Mahajanas. So he's saying that Lord has dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam, that this real religious principle has been established by Lord Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the 12 Mahajanas, they have understood it accordingly, by the mercy of the Lord. That doesn't mean that there are not others who have not understood it. His own father is not listed in this list of 12, which is Sun God, Vivaswan. And Shukdev Goswami, Vyasika is referred, but Vyasdev is not listed in this. Because these are the 12 personalities. Yamaraj is saying, because Yamdutas are aware of it. Now we all know about Markandeya Rishi, who was supposed to be, his parents had received the boon. They were given actually choice. First was to have 100 foolish sons who would live for 100 years, or one obedient son, a very pious, very nice soul, who will only live for 18 years. So when the parents knew this, on the 18th birthday, as it was approaching, Markandeya Rishi started seeing that his parents were very sad because they were morose. They knew that, their son will leave his body so soon. So he approached them, and his father said, this is the boon we received. So we are, in separation, we are feeling sorrow. So he said, my dear father, what can I do? So at that time, Markandeya Rishi gave him Mahamrityunjaya mantra. Again, having received this mantra, Markandeya Rishi, he went to a seashore and he made a shivling and he was chanting Mahamrityunjaya mantra. And I'll give it as a homework. I have said it so many times in the past, but why don't you find out what Mahamrityunjaya mantra is? And he was chanting. Now, as Yamdutas came to take him, they saw he is with Shivling, and that is Lord Shiva. And Yamaraj told us never to approach a devotee. And a devotee of a devotee is, of course, a devotee. So they went back to Yamaraj, said, oh, remember Ajamil's time? You told us not to approach a devotee, a Vaishnava. And he is a devotee of a Vaishnava. How can we approach him? Yamaraj said, no, he's just trying to fool you guys. And when Yamaraj went, he saw Markandeya Rishi chanting. And Markandeya Rishi, so at the last moment of life, at the moment of death, just before that, the vision is enhanced for the living entity that they can see the Yamdutas and Yamaraj. And so when Markandeya Rishi saw, he was just an 18-year-old boy. He held on to the shivling and said, Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urva Rukmiv Bandhanad Mitru Mokshim Amritatom. He started chanting Mahamrityunjaya mantra very strongly. Now Yamraj threw his pash, his rope. He has danda and he has rope to pull the soul out from the body. What happened? This rope fell on Markandeya Rishi, but also on Shivling. Now, when this happens, immediately Lord Shiva appears from the Shivling, angry that how could Yamraj throw his pash at Shivling. He goes and kicks Yamraj right on his chest. Yamraj falls to the ground, takes his trishul and kills him on the spot. Yamraj is dead. One Mahajana has just killed another Mahajana. Now, this was a point of great confusion. Lord Brahma and other demigods, they came, they approached and prayed to Lord Shiva that, please, what have you done? And Lord Shiva, of course, he has this potency. He's easily pleased. Shiva means all auspicious. He's very easily angered, just like he did at this time. And he's very easily pleased when sincerely prayed to. So he said, okay, Yamraj, he brings Yamaraj back to life with the instruction not to touch Markandeya Rishi. So Markandeya Rishi has seen many days of Lord Brahma to current times. And he has such an amazing, and he still has the youthful body, same physique with same consciousness, same awareness when he was 18-year-old. And so when you meet an 18-year-old, just don't treat them that they are ignorant people. One of them could be Markandeya Rishi. So we have to be very, very careful as we don't look at, try to judge a letter by its cover. And here, in this particular case, why would I narrate this? Because it's not always true that all Mahajanas should agree on one point. There may be different perspectives that they may bring, because Lord Shiva, he has his own sampradaya, Rudra sampradaya. And Markandeya Rishi is in that sampradaya. He became a devout devotee of Lord Shiva. And Srila Prabhupada himself said that if one understands that Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu, that Lord Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava, and of course, following his sampradaya, then of course he would be benefited. Even just understanding that he is the greatest Vaishnava. So that is the importance when it comes down to the various acharyas, the various Mahajanas. Mahajana yena gatha pantha. So we have to follow the footsteps of Mahajanas, understanding that we have to follow the parampara. We have to navigate the parampara. N is to navigate the parampara. So we have to accept a guru, a living guru who is in parampara, bona fide spiritual master, and accept the bona fide instructions. And we have Sadhu Guru and Shastra. We don't believe everything just because it has been said. We always verify it. That is sign of intelligence. Doubt is a sign of intelligence, Srila Prabhupada himself said. And that's what caused Bhagavad Gita to become so famous, because Arjuna is asking, he's clarifying his doubts. Doubts are like demons. We should all ask questions, but in a humble mode. Remember humility and hearing? That is very important, not in a challenging mode. And then comes T, last but not the least. T is to transform into loving service. So transforming of that information that we have received so far is important. Information to transformation happens when we engage in loving devotional service. So regular Sankirtan should bear fruit as service and love. Again, if we are a hard rock and the rain is falling, rain is mercy. Our heart is like that rock, then of course it will just wash away. We won't be able to contain any mercy. But if we churn our heart and we keep it soft and ready to receive the mercy through the chanting of the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And we see the example of Ajami's life. His heart immediately became soft after seeing that just by, imperfectly chanting the holy name, just by calling out his son Narayan, he was reminded of Lord Narayan, and the four Vishnudutas appeared. His later life, he actually took to devotional service. He went to Haridwar, he left his family and fully engaged in devotional service, and thus the same four Vishnu Dutas came and took him to Vaikuntha. We see the Kumaras, they were impersonalist, having received the instructions from Lord Brahma and from Hunsavta, 11th canto, yes. And then in third and fourth canto, we hear as how they were able to cross over the 6 gates of Vaikuntha, and the 7th gate, they were stopped. What are these 6 gates? So again, when we go to a country, we have to show our passport, provide specific reasons, and all these 6 gates actually call out one specific quality that should not be present, that disqualifies us. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad, Matsara. Lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, delusion. All these bad qualities should not be there. So they were able to easily cross because they were pure at heart. Yet at the same time, they were thinking that Brahman effulgence is all. But when they saw Padmanabha Vishnu, after being stopped on the 7th gate by Jai and Vijay, they cursed Jai and Vijay. And Lord himself came running to the door and said, their mistake is my mistake. The master accepts the mistake of his servants. And they realized that they just asked by cursing these two gatekeepers as if to cut the arms of Lord Vishnu. Yet at the same time, they were feeling sorry for their action. Yet at the same time, they understood that it must be a Leela, something enacted by Lord himself. And smelling the tulsi, immediately their heart blossomed, their heart awakened. Sometimes we see in Kirtan time, we had one person who was coming to the temple regularly, and he's like, I don't want to engage in this congregational chanting. I just want to chant alone. I just want to, focus on perfect chanting. I want to focus on every mantra. I want to focus on every beat. And he was doing it mechanically, like, perfect chanting, perfect chanting. And there was a whole party of Kirtan playing. And then at the end of the session, he's like, but I don't feel the same effect with this chanting alone. Well, if you want to go fast, you can do it alone. But if you want to go far, then you have to do it together in congregation. So when he heard this from the devotees, he decided in the next session that he would be participating in the Kirtan, the Sankirtan. So at the temple, when we all chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, in various melodies, he engaged, and suddenly his voice rose, his feet danced, and he jumped high with happy face, with gladdened, because he said, this is amazing, this thing works. So yes, when you want to go far, you have to do it with devotees. Going fast alone, yeah, go for it. But congregational chanting is very important. And that transformation happens when we take it to our heart. So we have to convert chanting into seva, humility, charity, and compassion. These are some of the basic qualities. There are many more qualities, the 26 qualities of devotees that we have covered on other occasions. So again, and when we talk about congregational Sankirtan, many things come to our mind. There's a nice joke about Kirtan alarm. How many of you have heard this? So Brahmachari, he would set an alarm called labeled as Kirtan time every morning. He was determined that to chant, he must set this alarm, but feared that he would forget. So he was relying on, the alarm clock. And each morning, the alarm rang, yes, as it should. And he snoozed it one time, two time, three time. Now, it's very interesting that when he snoozed it, he said, oh, Maya is very powerful. No, Maya is only neutral agent judging at this time. It is your desire, material desire to leave Krishna and be with Maya is very powerful. So when he heard these aspects, when he heard that, oh, why are we putting the alarm when I'm not following the instructions? So he answered proudly, okay, so I don't miss the Sankirtan. But then when asked, why do you keep missing it then? He meditated on it. He smiled in his heart and he stopped snoozing and attended Kirtan on time, from then on. So again, Mangalarti is which is very auspicious, very powerful time. What happens during that time? Krishna has just woken up. He just had sweets. He's in a very happy mood. And when you approach Krishna, he's very merciful. It's very interesting that when we are approaching someone very important, we want to ask whoever is the secretary, hey, how is he feeling right now? Is he in a good mood or is he frustrated? When you approach a person who has just become father and you give them, especially the nurses, they do that. They bring the baby. The first time when my son was born, the older one, the nurse immediately brought the baby because what are they expecting? That the fathers will shower all kind of gifts due to the happiness. And Lord Krishna is in a happy mood. He is the Supreme Father. Yes, he will grant all desires. But when we are looking with spiritual desires, it is very potent time to approach Krishna at such moments. So we should all engage in devotional service and throughout the day, For those who are simple-hearted, Lord Krishna is always smiling. Those who are logically minded, it is little difficult because, Lord Krishna, he's number one in everything. Sometimes people say, oh, I put so much in handi. Lord Krishna is saying, yes, you put so much in handi. But he's also saying how much you held back. How much heart do we give in service is seen by the mood, by the humility that we bring to our seva. That is also an important aspect. Now, sometimes, like I was talking about the insurance plan, right? A devotee told his friend, I'll do whatever I want now. Just like a Jamil. Hey, he had fun. He performed all kind of nonsense, and at the end, he took to the chanting of the holy name. So later, I'll chant extra rounds and be forgiven. Now, when asked, why would you do this? Don't you know Ajamil's story? He's like, yeah, that's my insurance. Ajamil used it as his insurance. And again asked, what company backs this plan? Which sampradaya, which disciplic succession backs up this plan of yours? And realizing that none of them backs it, we all just laughed. And at that time, we told him, right, which policy actually pays you if you repent? So true chanting is not an insurance claim. It's not an insurance clause. So this hearing this and understanding this devotee, he became more sincere. He stopped treating chanting as a loophole and began using it as a daily purifier. And his life transformed. So again, we have to take the information, but we have to do it with the churning of our heart in it, with understanding that this is the filtering process to remove all the contaminations, all the samskaras that are there. They are the root cause of all the greatest sins. So that saying from greatest sin is not to just wash out the sins, but to remove internally, internal cleansing. That is also very important. Now, in this regard, I'm reminded of the incident that at Shivaji International Airport, once Ramnath Maharaj was there, and at that time, the Environment Ministry from there, Menaka Gandhi was the minister. So she said, I want to talk to this Swami. And she approached him, and immediately in a challenging way, he said, what do you guys do? I'm trying to cleanse whole of Mumbai, whole of India, environmental cleansing. Ramnath Maharaj smiled. He said, yes, you are doing external cleansing. We are doing internal cleansing so that these don't repeat. You may stop the external factors, but you are not doing the internal cleansing. And she was shocked. She was dumbfounded at that point, realizing that, yes, she's only looking at the external symptoms to clean the environment, but the true cleansing has to happen in the heart of all the citizens of India. And that happens through the chanting of the holy name. Not just India, anyone in the world. Even the animals and insects and birds and trees can benefit through the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So today, this is what we have been sharing with you, my dear devotees, in this session of Gems from Srimadbhagavatam, where the acronym CHANT helps us understand why chanting is so important. And even a person who's dying, he has been instructed to chant. Maharaj Parikshit has been instructed by his instructing spiritual master Shukdev Goswami to take to this chanting seriously. Now, sometimes people get confused when we talk about, initiating a spiritual master and instructing a spiritual master. Well, in Lord Krishna's own pastime, his initiating spiritual master was none other than Gargamuni. But his instructing spiritual master was when he went to the Gurukul. And whose Gurukul did he go to? So again, Sandipani Muni, and similarly, Vyasdev, Krishna Devapana Vyasdev, who actually put down Srimad Bhagavatam in writing, and his spiritual master, initiating spiritual master, was his own father, Parashar Muni. But his instructing spiritual master was Narad Muni, whom he got the instructions from for Srimadbhagavatam. So we have to look from the perspective that yes, you can only have one initiating spiritual master and many instructing spiritual master. Lord Dattatreya talks about this, that he is talking about the 24 gurus. And he is picking up them from the nature. So we have to understand that we have an opportunity to learn from anyone at any time. And it's important that we have to take the lessons to purify our heart. So today we covered in this gems from Srimad Bhagavatam, this verse 6.3.31, through the acronym CHANT. Congregation Sankirtan is C, and H is for humility and hearing, A is for atonement and abstinence, and is for to navigate parampara, follow the disciplic succession, and T is to transform all activities into loving devotional service. Hare Krishna. Devi, would you like to add?
Examples and scenarios, let us understand how we should not take it lightly, how to make an improvement, transform our spiritual practice into loving service. We should be, there are do's and don'ts. And fortunately, with the help of Srila Prabhupada books, which, from which we cover certain verses every week, it helps us dive deeper. And these words of wisdom are companion in all stages of life. So now, in order that our sadhana, our chanting may, transform into loving service, it is service only. But further, because we all try to bring an improvement, and at times we have to deal with uncontrolled mind. So in a minute, actually we should ask the participants if they have any questions, and if they do not have any questions, maybe Prabhuji, you can address that, how one can channel or improve with uncontrolled mind, because mind rationalizes. Even after knowing so much from scriptures, mind, the spiritual aspirant or the devotees, they give in to the rationalizing of mind. And unfortunately, instead of watering the seed of bhakti, by chanting we water the seed of bhakti. Unfortunately, reverse happens. And so this is an important topic. So let us first hear, if anyone has any question, you can make a comment now, and then further Prabhuji will elaborate and see if there's any such inquiry, and plus what I just mentioned, if you can address that. Hare Krishna, anybody would like to present any question? We can include that. All right. Prabhuji, you can then. Yes, Neeru Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. Prabhuji, you just talked about congregational chanting. While being in the family, how can we choose congregational, or how can we look for opportunities for congregational chanting, because we are chanting at home only, and how can we take to this like congregational chanting? Earlier we used to have chanting sessions with you on daily basis. There we could avail this opportunity and engage ourselves in congregational chanting, but now that has been discontinued for unknown reasons. So can you please suggest some ways how we can take to this? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So again, our mind is very vicious. Sometimes we focus on one specific aspect and think that is congregation chanting. Right now, what we are doing is congregation chanting. What are we doing? We are chanting in Sankirtan. We are all Sangha together, and we are glorifying Lord Krishna and his devotees. That is Kirtan. So congregational chanting is not just limited to chanting of the holy name. It is engaging in glorifying. So yes, that chanting is very important, and those chanting sessions have been there so that you can do those minimum 16 rounds on a daily basis, on special occasions, on Ekadashi, Janmashtami, and festival times, minimum 25 rounds. That is one of the regulative principles. So that is like, okay, having a daily path. Yet at the same time, we had been doing it for so long and understanding that now everyone should be able to take on there. Now, how can you do this at home? When you are in the kitchen or when you are traveling, nobody will disturb you if you put your headphones on and hear the kirtan. If you are cooking in the kitchen, no one will mind if you're playing kirtan in a soft, mellow tone. And if you are giving the proper association in glorifying Krishna instead of taking material association from others, that is also very important. How do we associate? Who do we associate? Devi talked about rationalization. So our mind is very vicious. It puts rational lies. That's what we call rationalize. Logically put the perspective and calls us to only focus on one aspect. While what is happening here is congregational chanting. We are all chanting is Kirtan. Kirtan means glorifying the Lord. And we have to follow the 4 regulative principles. We have to do minimum 16 rounds on a daily basis, like I mentioned, and that is part of practice. So it is very important that you practice for some time and then you move from that point onward. So when you're preparing for, say, athletics or sports, you practice, practice, practice. Then, of course, you should make it permanent. That means you should be able to carry on, even though not everyone is there. So again, you can always, what did we used to do? We used to put Prabhupada's chanting during the session and have everyone join in with Prabhupada's chanting. That way, everyone would understand that, yes, we can chant with Prabhupada, the greatest acharyas of our times. And that will enable us to engage in the chanting of the holy name. That's part of daily practice. It should not happen just because someone has stopped a program on chanting or somebody is doing. Then we are conditioned and we will only get up when someone wake us up. So again, after some time, it should become permanent. So practice, practice, practice only makes it permanent. The second aspect is assume. Assume is, of course, this is from the Western world, which devotees have accepted. We have the tendency to assume things, be judgmental at times. So what does assume means? ASS, you, me, if you split this. So when we assume, we make as of you and me. So again, that's what it means. We misinterpret others and we make fool of ourselves too. So we have to be very, very careful when we are approaching a spiritual matter, that it has been introduced as a practice and now it should become permanent. We have been carrying those activities for over 2 years, right? Regular chanting, and it should become permanent. It should become our own nature. If it has not become our own nature, then we should think about it seriously. Maybe we did not allow our hearts to chant, right? So it should destroy all those anarthas in our heart and make us more aligned to the need of our current times. And this is where, again, it just comes down to that when we are chanting, the mentality is itself a serious offense. Namno balad papa buddhi. Sometimes people say, oh, one should not intentionally commit sin, thinking the holy name will free him from the sins. So yes, chanting purifies the heart only when we show sincerity by avoiding deliberate wrongdoings. So we should see the effect of chanting. So if you're not seeing the effect of chanting and taking it as as an activity, like people are doing various activities, they're practicing different drills. But in the sports, when you're playing with opponents, you're not just doing those drills, you're putting those into practice. We have to do that. Devi, would you like to add something?
I was talking about offenses with uncontrolled mind. So you have actually addressed both of them. Very quickly, I want to bring to everyone's attention that there are some practical tips Like as a part of daily practice, we should think about how we should reflect how chanting changes my behavior this week. What offenses am I most prone to? How I can improve humility in relationships. You talked about humility at length. And what is one service I resisted and why? Service was given to me, but I didn't do it. I didn't take proper care around that, all communication around it. How can I follow the instructions of my guru more faithfully? And so, some practical tips which really help everyone are we should set a fixed chanting time, listen to these kind of talks daily, keep friendship with sincere devotees. Some devotees actually track chanting quality in a journal. And daily, we can practice some acts of kindness and compassion. So, in our past sessions, devotees have asked, I am remembering they asked certain questions around this topic. This is a Jamil pastime in which you refer to the verse today. So Ajamil chanted accidentally and he was saved. So once a devotee asked, does that mean sincere chanting is not needed and accidentally somebody can shout out Lord Krishna's name? So it has been explained that Ajamil's case shows power of the name, not a shortcut. So after he was saved, he became serious and performed bhakti with devotion. And that's why there is a book called The Second Chance. But you don't know, you may get a second chance or not. The holy name saves us, but we must respond with sincere practice. And then sometimes devotees ask, what is the difference between accidental sin and deliberate sin for a chant? So we should understand accidental sin arises from old habits. Deliberate sin is a chosen plan. So we are always given choices. We make choices. And so Krishna excuses first if we regret and correct ourselves, but the second blocks the spiritual progress. When we make a choice,
Yes.
which is against our improvement or progress in devotional service, that blocks our spiritual progress. So it's time, Prabhuji. I think we can conclude the call today now.
Hare Krishna. So again, I just want to quickly share, means we have been doing that chanting session for years. While in reality, my chanting truly transformed just by doing 2 rounds with His Holiness Rama Maharaj. He said, Jiva, come sit and let's chant together. Just those 2 rounds, I still remember that session as if it was yesterday. So that transformed my chanting instantly, and it enables me to go deeper into the mood because it has to be received in parampara. So that also helps. And then the second aspect is Bhagavatam. On 7th of May 2007, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, he inaugurated Bhagavatam in our home. I didn't say, oh, Maharaj, you should stay here forever and just read Bhagavatam. No, he said, now this onward, it is your service. So great personalities, they pass on their mood and empower us fallen souls so that we can take on that service for our purification. Hare Krishna Devi.
Yes, Prabhuji, that's right. Important thing everyone should think of and not take it lightly. Sometimes senior devotees or instructing spiritual masters, they give instructions, they assign services. And due to uncontrolled mind, a new devotee may undervalue their instructions, thinking it's actually not coming from a sannyasi. So this doesn't have any value. And their mind justifies to them. Actually, they think that, okay, I was thinking too much. And, in that I just got carried away. And so that's okay. No, that's not okay. The fact that certain instruction for practicing certain way devotional service is actually descending down from Supreme Lord through the channel of devotees. So just wanted to quickly mention that.
Yeah, again, Syan Mahas Sevya Vipra Punna Tirth Nishevanat. So again, Vasudeva Katha Ruchi. When did you develop this attraction, this Ruchi, which is at a much higher level than just faith? It happens when we serve the devotees. And there's a tendency that we want devotees to serve us. Because this tendency is coming from those lifelong impressions of samskars, that when we go to the temple, we say, Lord, give me this, give me this, give me this, taking Lord to be the order supplier. Actually, we should be, serving the Lord instead of expecting service from the Lord and the devotees. That is also something we should take to our heart. Hare Krishna. So again, Kantra Srimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavad ki Janant Korivaishnu Vind ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Om Tat Sat. Have a wonderful week in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.